Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Beth and this is Beth's Bookish Reviews, and I'm here today on this August the 9th to film my TBR for the Jane Eyre readathon that I am hosting with my best friend Chris in September. I'm filming it very early, I know. I was going to play a game that Emily McInnes over at McInnes Mom does. She took two games and put them together. She does this game called Roll the Dice with a bit of chaos, but I tried to test it out and I thought, no. In order to get all the books that I needed, I had to take like 25 books. And that's not gonna work. So, if you need a copy of the bingo board, if you want to participate in Eyre of September, you can get a copy down below. I will link it in the description box. You can either use the bonus bingo board or you can use just the basic 9 prompts. The bonus bingo board has 12. That is the one I am holding. It has 12 prompts. Okay, so the first prompt is read Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Yes, I know this is a big book. If this is the only book you want to read, kudos to you and thank you for participating. I would love for you to join us just to read this book. This is a wonderful book. It is one of my very favorite books ever of all time. I read it in the 10th grade and then I read bits and pieces of it when I was a senior because I had to do some research on it, and that is when I read another Bronte book, Wuthering Heights. And I wrote a big research paper on it and my teacher loved it and she kept it and wouldn't give it back to me. And then I read it again last year, I believe. And so I told my friend Chris, I said, I really want to read Jane Eyre again. So she said, we should do it together. We should read it together. And so I said, I'd really like to do a readathon. She said, we should. So we are. And so this is the first prompt, read Jane Eyre. And really, if you only want to read Jane Eyre, that would be wonderful. Just let me know in the comments. And, you know, tag us, post it on Instagram, tag us, Best Bookish Reviews, and I always mess up her Instagram name. I always have to cheat and go. It is Books and Butterflies, Bookstagram, I believe. I will link her down in the description box too. So I will be doing this. I have tabbed it and I have wrote all in this wonderful collector's copy that I bought. Okay, so that is the first prompt. And if you don't know what Jane Eyre is about, it is about Jane Eyre. Really, it is about a girl who grows up in a home. She's first with her aunt, who is very mean, and the aunt has 3 children of her own, and they are mean to Jane, and Jane ends up going to this school, and it's a very sad, poor little school that she eventually ends up becoming a teacher there, and then she decides to send off to be a governess, and she gets this job, and then she meets Mr. Rochester, and things progress from there. Okay, so the next prompt going across is to read a book with a wicked stepmother vibe. So the only book that I have on my shelves that I believe is going to have that is My Plain Jane. This is a modern retelling of Jane Eyre, and this is the one I'm going to read. I hope that it has it in there. If it doesn't, then I'm going to have to find a Wicked Stepmother Vibe book and add another book to my list. I also know that it has, I think it has, I think it goes, hold on. I think it's told from like 3 different perspectives. Charlotte Bronte, Jane, and Alexander Blackwood. So this is going to be fun. Okay, so the next prompt, now the 3 bonus prompts are all down here, so these are regular prompts. The next prompt is read a book set in a boarding school. I'm going to be doing a reread, and I am so excited about this reread. I am going to be doing a reread, The Broken Girls by Simone St. James. And this is a dual timeline, so only half of it takes place in a boarding school. The other half is somebody is trying to find out what happens to their sister, I believe, who went missing. So there's my boarding school. Then it says read a book involving mental health issues. So for this one, I'm going to be reading a Lee Child book. I'm going back to my Jack Reacher. I love my Reacher books. Haven't read one in a little while. I'm going to be reading Bad Luck and Trouble. And this one is, it says, from a helicopter high above the California desert, a man is sent free falling into the night. On the streets of Portland, Jack Reacher is pulled out of his wandering life and plunged into the heart of a conspiracy that is killing old friends and the people he once trusted with his life. Reacher is the ultimate loner, no phone, no ties, no address. But a woman from his old military unit has found him using a signal only the 8 members of their elite team would know. Then she tells him a terrifying story about the brutal death of a man they both served with. Soon Reacher is reuniting with the survivors of his team, scrambling to unravel the sudden disappearance of two other comrades. But Reacher won't give up, because in a world of bad luck and trouble, when someone targets Jack Reacher and his team, they'd better be ready for what comes right back at them. And when I was researching books with mental health issues, this one came up, and it has some PTSD issues with with some of the characters. The next prompt is to read from a book of poetry. You don't have to read the whole book of poetry. You just read some poetry. You don't even have to read from a book. You can go to Project Gutenberg, and there is some poetry on there. You can pull up some poetry online. I'm sure you can find some poetry. I think you can pull up some Emily Dickinson online. I think you can even pull up Langston Hughes without going to Project Gutenberg. But the next one is read a book set on a country estate. I have a couple. I have Persuasion, and this is Aunt Elliot has only one regret, that she listened to her family and broke off her engagement to Captain Wentworth. He was poor, but they were in love, and she didn't realize that love was enough. But Anne has a new chance. Captain Wentworth has returned from the Royal Navy with everything stacked against her. Can she overcome their heartbreak and persuade him to love her again? So I'm reading this one. And I'm thinking about starting Wuthering Heights. I don't look to get done with this because this is not a priority read. This is just, I'm ready to read Wuthering Heights again. Okay. The next one is read a book with a nanny or a governess. The Royal Governess by Wendy Holden, and this is about the governess to the princesses Elizabeth and Margaret Rose, Queen Elizabeth. So I'm anxious. I believe this came from a recommendation from Shelley Swearingen. I believe that's where I got this recommendation. All right, the next one is read a book about best friends or a romance. I will be reading The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren, and this is about a fake marriage. Somebody needed an inheritance. He needed his family to think he was okay, she needed access to subsidized family housing while she was going to UCLA. She thought she'd signed divorce papers, but she's still married. Okay. The next one is read a book predominantly involving the color red. Again, I have two. I want to read this book so bad. Killers of the Flower Moon by David Grann. This is the Osage murders and the birth of the FBI. But another one, and it has some red on it. But the other one has caught my eye, and I'm really wanting to read it, and it has red on it too. Lisa Wingate's Shelterwood. I'm putting them both in my pile. Read a Victorian era novel. Kate Morton, The Clockmaker's Daughter, and this is told in two timelines, and part of that timeline is set in the Victorian age. All right, these are the bonus prompts. The Victorian era novel, and then these next two. Read a biography of Charlotte Bronte. The Life of Charlotte Bronte by Elizabeth Gaskell is what I will be reading. And this is actually, I chose this one because Elizabeth Gaskell and Charlotte Bronte were really good friends, which is why we chose the last prompt and put it on this bingo board. Read a novel by Elizabeth Gaskell. And I chose North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. All right. Extra books that I'm wanting to read. I kind of want to read The Return of Ellie Black by Emiko Jin. And Chantel over at Chantel Reads All Day. This is the Patreon Agatha Christie Read Along, Destination Unknown. It doesn't look like it's a Hercule Poirot or a Miss Marple. I'm going to stop recording and turn you around and see what we get for Friend Recommend and 24 and 24, though I haven't been very good at reading those lately. Okay, I'm going to turn this backlight off. All right, there we go. And I'm just going to take, well, if it lands on the House of Flame and Shadow, I'm going to spin again because I just don't want to read it. I'm not in the mood for it. All right. Okay, we'll be reading Local Woman Missing. All right. Now let's pull up Our Friend Recommends. Okay, we will be reading The Oracle. This is a book my mom chose, so we'll see if I can do any better this month. So there you go. Those are the books I will be reading for September, for the Eyre of September, my Jane Eyre readathon. And yeah, if you're going to participate, let me know. And you don't have to read as many books as I'm reading. You can choose to read just Jane Eyre with us, or you can read 9 of the prompts, or you can try to do all 12 of them. Let us know. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you want to see more from me, click the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.